Remember when Tim Walz was almost your vice president? Whew, yeah, that was pretty rough. And remember we got to meet his charming family? His wife, you remember her, turn the page, bye-bye. Yeah, oh, God, what a nightmare. But let's not forget his delightful daughter, Hope. His daughter, Hope, is an influencer on TikTok. And, well, she hates America, and I think she hates her dad. So we're going to get to the video in 30 seconds, but first, a quick message from Birch Gold Group. It's a new year, and that means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Make this the year you finally call Birch Gold Group. Until January 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. You've got to claim eligibility to start the process, so text Larry to 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, and you're eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. But you got to claim eligibility. Text my name, Larry, to 989898. That's Larry. Text it to 989898 for Birch Gold Group. Now, back to the video. She appeared on a podcast and answered some questions about the fraud in the Gopher State. And, well, let's show you a little bit of it. First, she had some interesting things to say about the citizen journalist, Nick Shirley, who blew the lid off this story 2 weeks ago.
This video that went crazy, this Nick Shirley video, it seems to just change the whole everything on there. Have you seen it?
I have not watched the whole thing. I've seen clips of it and whatnot. I think they're trying to make this man into Charlie Kirk or something.
Yeah.
And I think, right-wing media ecosystems and people just really like that sort of, content in media.
Yeah.
And it's the whole anti-vax thing and just, they're not going to believe anybody except the least qualified people, it seems. And so he fit the bill there, I think.
Okay.
I love the host is like, okay, that's a lot to unpack. All right, so Nick Shirley, the citizen journalist who took a GoPro and an expert in all of the government documentation that shows where the federal funding went to the Somali daycare centers and learning centers, and exposed it on his YouTube account. That's like being an anti-vaxxer, and they're making him Charlie Kirk, which is, I mean, I guess they're both young, white, conservative men. There's that, I suppose. Tell me you know nothing about Charlie Kirk without telling me you know nothing about Charlie Kirk. What in the hell is she even talking about? And I do love the reliance on expertise here. It's like, well, he's just some guy with a camera. Why? I don't know why people want to believe him. Of course, no actual attempt to address the details of the video, either from the host or from the guest, Hope Walz. And Hope Walz even admits that she hasn't watched the video, but she's got strong opinions about it after all. But it gets even better. Watch this.
People engage with that.
It feels more trustworthy than the news to a lot of people.
It does, and I can't quite I have my own problems with the media and all of that. Sure. And that's, I said in a video this morning, now I can kind of be let loose and I definitely want to have some of those conversations going forward.
Yeah.
But I do, I definitely think people see somebody and they're like, oh, this person's, I see myself in them, and so I'm going to believe them. And that is what people definitely see in me. I think then that's an ethical thing on his end. You can't just go and do this to people. I don't know.
Yeah, but
in communities.
But I watch it. I haven't watched the whole video like you. I've watched a lot of clips on there because he's posting a lot of them. But the style of it, I watch it. I'm like, oh no, this is my style. This is what I do. Yeah. And here I am, feeling like what I'm doing is a good thing, but then it can be used. So easily.
And there's really no checks and balances on content, or not many, and just social media in general.
This is just absolutely precious, isn't it? Can we watch this together? Because there's a lot to unpack here. Some of it even came close to making coherent sense, but I don't think she's making the case that she's trying to make. Let's start with this stunning revelation.
People engage with that.
It feels more trustworthy than the news to a lot of people.
It does, and I can't quite I have my own problems with the media and all.
All right, so I love that where it's like she starts to like poo-poo it and say, yeah, I don't know why people would trust that instead of the news. And then she realizes, oh, wait a second. I'm a social media influencer. I want people to trust me more than cable news or broadcast news. And, oh, by the way, the Tim Walz line has been that the media, and by the way, this was Kamala Harris's line too, that the media was biased in favor of Donald Trump and Republicans and against Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. That's been their line, right? That yeah, the media didn't treat us fairly. So she was just about to say, yeah, people should trust the media and not some, oops, never mind. Let me backtrack on that. And then this one was even better.
All of that.
Sure.
And that's, I said in a video this morning, like now I can kind of be let loose. And like, I definitely want to have some of those conversations going forward.
Yeah. In other words, I want people to trust me in my social media platform. Okay. So it's not the platform. It's not the lack of credentials as any kind of, legitimate journalist. You don't have to have that. You can be anybody with a following and social media clout. Now she's saying, oh, by the way, how wonderful is it to know that she's been restraining herself up until now in her commentary? The commentary that calls you every name in the book, that calls you a Klansman and a Nazi and a racist and all of the other ignorant things that she says about you. Well, now that her daddy isn't the governor or running for governor again, now she can really tell you what she thinks. Oh, we can't wait, Hope. We can't wait.
Yeah.
But I definitely think people see somebody and they're like, oh, this person's, I see myself in them. And so I'm going to believe them. And that is what people definitely see in me. I think then that's like an ethical thing on his end. Like, you can't just go and do this to people. I don't know.
Yeah.
So because you have credibility and people tend to believe you and relate to you, then you can't go and investigate fraud in the Somali community in Minneapolis because yeah, she never really followed up with any kind of coherent answer on that one. But okay, Hope. But what about the fraud? So now by the way, the host, of course, acknowledges that he's only seen clips. It's only 42 minutes long, dude. But they can't sit and actually research the topic for their conversation by watching the video. But he does get around to the idea that, yeah, but still, there does seem to be some fraud, right? I mean, right?
But it's like it's not about him. It's about he's the other side for a big group of Americans.
Yes.
I feel like.
Yes, and I think he was popular during the campaign last fall.
Yep.
And he's still in office, and he
Yeah.
was running again, and so it's just kind of an easy thing for them to pick up on. And I think there's enough truth to the fraud claim, things, that they were able to twist it and amplify it and
Yeah.
whatnot, because it is being dealt with. They
Yeah.
were just able to frame it in a way.
Okay, now, again, Tim Walz, in his exit speech, and we're going to show you some clips of it, never actually acknowledged that the reason he's not running for re-election is, in fact, because of the fraud that's been uncovered in the Somali community that he is directly connected to and probably even will be implicated in either participating in the fraud or at the very least covering up the fraud. But she just acknowledged it for him, right? If you ask Tim Walz today, are you leaving because of the Somali fraud story? He'll say, absolutely not. But what did daughter Hope just say?
I think there's enough truth to the fraud claim, things, that they were able to twist it and amplify it and
Yeah.
whatnot, because it is being dealt with. They
Yeah.
were just.
God, there's just a sliver of truth to the fraud claims, and then they just amplified it. That's what they did. They amplified it. Yeah. So my favorite part of this entire podcast interview with Hope Walz, where they're trying to push back on the outrageous behavior of Nick Shirley and other citizen journalists who have actually pursued this story and uncovered so much wrongdoing and so much fraud and obvious things that need to be investigated for criminal purposes. My favorite part of this podcast is when they actually started proving the fact that the video that Nick Shirley did was completely misrepresented the truth, that the video itself and his investigation was fraudulent, that Nick Shirley lied, that he misrepresented the story, that he actually framed innocent people, and that Nick Shirley is the problem. this is really stunning. And full disclosure, we got to show you everything about it, especially that part. So let's look at that part. Oh, no, actually, they never did that. In fact, not once, as they're trashing Nick Shirley and citizen journalism in general, and anybody who is not part of the credentialed class with a press pass, because, that gives you some level of credibility. While they're pissing all over that and the truth of what's going on in Minnesota and barely acknowledging, well, there was enough fraud there that they just amplified everything and made my daddy look bad. At no point were they able to say, listen, here's a part of the video right here, and this is a lie. This is wrong. That's a thriving daycare center. This healthcare center is doing great, the Lord's work. In fact, it's underfunded. It should get more tax dollars to be able to do all the great work that it does. Here, right here, Nick Shirley besmirched all of these innocent, wonderful Somali. They never did that. They never showed that. I wonder why. What a missed opportunity for them, isn't it? Let's get to Daddy now, Tim Walz. You'll remember on Monday he announced he was not running for re-election and then abruptly left the podium, pissed off all the reporters there because he never answered a question, even though he said he would. Well, yesterday he came back because he got all his talking points ready in his head, and he's now ready to answer all your questions. Okay, Tim, let's go.
Their idea of improving this state is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my dead body. Will that happen? I will fight this thing till the very end to make this state better. And the question that I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House resign? When does he take accountability for what he did? Because it isn't going to happen here. Their idea of improving the state is being...
So apparently, the real problem in Minnesota is Donald Trump and the Republicans who enable him. So apparently, Tim Walz is not going anywhere, except that he is, since he's not running for re-election. And apparently, Tim Walz is going to fight this to the bitter end, except he's not, because he's refusing to fight for re-election. And apparently, Donald Trump is the real problem here, and Republicans in the state of Minnesota are just doing the bidding of Donald Trump. So you would think that would be a really easy and winning political message for him to run for re-election, and yet he's backing out and not doing that, which obviously is because he would have lost. You're following all of this, right? Okay, good, because there's more. This is even better. Asked very simply, why are you choosing not to run for re-election? It's a simple question. It should be the only question to answer at this press conference. Let's see what the answer is.
Did you make the decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you receive pressure from Democratic allies?
This is a decision that I make and make with my family. And certainly I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it. We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us that are for a show of the cameras. I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election to try and overturn that and, report both sides of this. Well, he said he really didn't, and courts convicted 400 of them, and he pardoned them. No, he did that. He did that, and that's today. And it's clear that we also saw today he implemented 5 states are being punished with a freezing of federal funds illegally that were appropriated by Congress, our tax dollars.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is exquisite. This is not just, absolute trademark Tim Walz behavior, but this is Gavin Newsom behavior, Kamala Harris behavior, Joe Biden behavior, every Democrat dealing with the media. This is their trademark. This is what they do. Can we break it down and see exactly what happened here? Let's do it, shall we? Okay, so the question...
Did you make the decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you receive pressure from Democrats?
Did you make the decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you get pressure from other Democrats? By the way, we know he got pressure from other Democrats. He didn't reach his conclusion to do this until he had a conversation with Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota the afternoon before he decided to drop out of the race because Amy Klobuchar knew he was going to lose. Amy said, "You're done, Tim. I'm going to come in. I'm going to run for governor. And if you play nice and you don't get in any trouble, maybe I'll appoint you as my replacement in the Senate." Okay? That's what happened. Okay. But the question is, did you come to this decision on your own or did you get pressure? Now, let's get to the answer.
This is a decision that I make and make with my family. And certainly, I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it. We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us that are for a show of the cameras.
Okay, so it's the right decision to make for me not to run for re-election because the federal government has just brought in 2,000 new investigators to investigate the fraud that's going on my watch. That makes a lot of sense. The question was, did you reach the decision on your own? And the answer is, there's 2,000 new agents coming in to investigate fraud, which, I mean, I guess that is kind of an answer. You can connect the dots yourself. By the way, they're not coordinating with you. Tim, that's because they're investigating you. What does he want them to do? Yeah, we're here to talk about the fraud, but we're only going to investigate the fraud if we coordinate with suspect number one. Does he still not get it? No, he does not get it. Okay, so first he says he made the decision with his family, which isn't a direct answer to the question because we want to know about Democrat influence. Then he immediately pivots and says, well, you know, we've got 2,000 new agents here investigating me without coordinating with me. All right, keep going. Why else have you decided not to run for re-election, Tim?
I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election.
That's why he's not running for re-election. There's your answer right there, because today's January 6th and Trump ran an insurrection. And if that makes sense to you, I welcome you to watching our show because we don't get enough Democrats watching. So thank you. I know you probably just finished watching the late morning news report on MS Now. Because you have to be someone who is addicted to Morning Joe and Rachel Maddow to think that is some kind of coherent answer to the question, did you reach the decision on your own or did you have pressure with Democrats? If you think the answer to that question is today's January 6th and Trump ran an insurrection, you are probably a Democrat. Okay. Now, let's not take our sights off of the other statewide elected official, Keith Ellison. He's the Attorney General. He is actually caught on audio suggesting that he'll help stop the investigations currently taking place into the Somali community, into fraud. He literally obstructing justice. As he's the Attorney General, he's supposed to be responsible for investigating these crimes. So he was on CNN last night, and let's just see, do you think he's done enough to really get to the bottom of the fraud issue? You know, the issue that just led to his pal Tim Walz not running for re-election. Let's see.
Not that fraud is not a problem. Of course it is a problem. And of course we have to prosecute it. And of course we have been prosecuting it. But
have you done enough, General, to do so? I mean, one of the claims is that there has been hundreds of millions of dollars, but now there are some estimates that there could be $9 billion or more. And Noam was just suggesting they took hundreds of people off the street who were involved in fraud. Are you confident your office has done enough?
Of course we've done enough, and we're doing more every single day. This is a political matter. This is not a serious thing. And
yeah, we've done enough. Really, have you gone to every single place on Nick Shirley's video? It's been 2.5 weeks now. Have you perhaps sent investigators to the exact same places Nick Shirley went to follow up and see if there's anything going on there that might be considered fraudulent activity? No, of course he hasn't. My favorite part of that answer, by the way, which is perfect Democrat talk that they get away with in the media all the time, is, have you done enough to investigate fraud? Of course we've done enough, and we're now doing more. Again, if that answer makes sense to you, we welcome you. We're excited to reach out to our Democrat viewers, and maybe if you watch a few more episodes, you may start thinking a second time about your world.